Hey, pop the hood.
Pop the hood?
Pop the hood.
Pop the hood?
Pop the hood.
Pop the hood?
Pop the hood.
The hood?
The hood.
I actually saw Fast X in theaters, so you didn't have to, because if you're anything like me, you've been disappointed in what this franchise has turned into and wrote it off years ago. I mean, you know it's bad when people make a trend of when a movie should have ended. Needless to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway, ever since Paul Walker's death, things just have not been the same. The scripts got cheesier.
He knows it doesn't matter what's under a hood. The only thing that matters is who's behind the wheel.
The stunts got bolder. The villains got drier.
You drive away, and you never come back. Ever.
And the whole thing looks like a Budweiser commercial. How did we go from intense moments like these?
Yeah, this is Officer Brian O'Connor. My 20 is Highway 86 mile marker 1.
To scenes like these.
I'm Dante. I'm Shantae.
I knew you would come for me.
Now, this is not going to be your typical
where Fast and Furious should have ended
video. Nah, plus we already know the answer. I'm going to do you one better. This is what Fast and Furious should have done. Welcome to Movies You've Seen, where I cover all things movies, TV, and music. I am your cinematic host, and I have a treat for you. But first, y'all, I have to give it up to you. You've been so supportive over the last year, and I am eternally grateful for your views. Just by you looking at my content, it helps keep food on the table. Thank you, and praises to the Most High Jesus Christ. Let's keep it going. Smash that subscribe button, like these videos, and comment down below. And don't forget to hit that notification bell too. Let's get this show on the road. A few days ago, my boyfriend helped me post the following question to Reddit. What do you wish they would have done differently with the Fast and Furious franchise? Now, I took the liberty of going first and listing my grievances one by one, and I came to the conclusion that I may have a personal beef with Vin Diesel. But before I dig into him, I'm going to address the usual elephant in the room. Yes. As mentioned before, I too wished it would have ended when Paul died, but they could have brought in one of his real life brothers to play his movie brother and provide more backstory to Brian's upbringing. The perfect opportunity to revisit the story behind his father's absence and the effect it had on his childhood, most likely the reason Brian became a cop in the first place. And had Brian not become a cop, he never would have met the Torettos and his franchise never would have happened. It would be pretty cool to see Cody or Caleb Walker take a more pivotal role that's not CGI. In earlier movies, I wish Brian's ex-flings could have awkwardly crossed paths with one another. Detective Monica Fuentes and Luke Hobbs were featured on the end credit scene of Fast 5, where they discovered Letty wasn't dead.
You believe in ghosts?
Monica should have at least been a part of Fast and Furious 6 to lend a hand. That would have been the most perfect time for her and Mia to meet. Now, of course, nothing would come of this. There wouldn't be any beef or any type of animosity between the two, as this is not that type of franchise. But it would have been a brief yet worthy popcorn moment. Now, speaking of Mia,
What was that?
I wish she would have left the crew a long time ago. She obviously lives for her brother, and that's no life at all. If she would have left, then that would leave room for Minka Kelly's character that helped Brian escape the cops in the turbocharged prelude for Too Fast, Too Furious. They obviously had a connection. As much as I can see Mia, I can see Minka in this role. It doesn't make much of a difference to me. Arguably though, Brian's loyalty wasn't solely to Dom.
The only thing that pulled me in was you. Being friends with your brother is just a bonus.
Mia was attached to that loyalty, so without her, Brian probably wouldn't have stuck around past the 4th or 5th movie. The plot of the exiled brother, Jacob Toretto, should have never, ever happened. Dom and Mia never once lived or acted like they had a scorned, estranged sibling, so adding it to the story so late into the franchise was just disappointing. In reviewing Fast and Furious 1, the scene where Dom spoke to Brian in his father's garage overlooking the car that he had been working on, Dom recounted the day that he watched his father die. In Fast and Furious 9, the studio does us a solid one and finally provides us the visuals. But there was a caveat: Jacob Toretto. Because of Jacob's contribution to Jack Toretto's death, Dom leaving that information out in this scene is so problematic. Not because he has an estranged brother, but because it was never a part of the plan for the series. Actually, there wasn't even supposed to be 10 plus movies. Vin Diesel turned down the second film, Too Fast, Too Furious, out of fear that its weak script would taint the first movie. Ironically, each film after PW's death has done far more damage than Too Fast, Too Furious could ever do. And Vin Diesel's quest to up the ante with every installment is just a thirst that cannot be quenched.
Mr. Roman Pierce
Was fresh out of prison, hot-headed and rebellious. He was unintentionally comedic with a presence that demanded attention.
Hey, real funny, Fonzie. Ass.
But over the years, he has strangely morphed into a cowardly, underwhelming, funny guy. He had way more gusto in Too Fast, Too Furious. Of course, one could make the argument that he has matured and become more self-aware, which is what you do with age. But he is essentially just not needed anymore. Instead of taking shots at The Rock off screen, Tyrese should have been protesting for a rewrite of his entire character development. Ultimately, in my opinion, Roman should have left when Brian did. That's his best friend. That would have been honorable.
Now put your blouse back on.
Hater.
Tej becoming this all-knowing computer nerd isn't the worst thing that could happen, but I don't see the significance in him being here either. He was originally introduced to us as this skilled mechanic that made big money off of bets, and his on-again, off-again cuddle buddy Suki would tag along. I understand there has to be a computer nerd in the group of criminals trope, but his expertise in hacking, cracking safes, and knowledge of government equipment is just unbelievable. I literally don't believe it, but if he had to stay, then they should have replaced Roman with Suki and chucked Roman and Ramsey. Who even is Ramsey and where does she come from? She's kind of like Jesse and Leon.
Sort of showed up one night and never ever left.
I liked her way better in The Invitation. And go check out my review on that while you're at it. This whole turning the enemy into our friend's family has got to stop.
I didn't trust them. I trust you.
Now, why would you trust us?
I know enough.
I'm glad they addressed this in Fast X. With all the ridiculousness that is the Fast and Furious franchise, the writers do seem to take in what the fans are saying and poke fun at their own antics. That doesn't stop the fact though that almost everyone who goes against the Toretto gang ends up joining forces with them or lets them get away. I think the pill would be a lot harder to swallow if Letty has still chosen not to be with Dom after she got part of her memory back.
I can't give that to you. I got nothing.
You got me.
It would hurt us all to see her leave, yeah, but that's what would make the story great. Love and loss. Dom has done a lot of wrecking in his life and he needs to see the consequences of his actions. But somehow he gets to have it all in the end of each movie, because it's a perfect world for Dom. There's no real enemies, nobody ever dies, they all just become family. Fan fiction, eh.
Because you were the first out of everybody here to reach in to get the chicken, you say grace.
Mom.
Oh, dear God, you are such a good God. Accommodating God. Oh, dear Lord, 3 things we pray. To love thee more dearly, to see thee more clearly, to follow thee more nearly.
I wish we can get an explanation for why the crew is chosen to do such impossible, high-risk, dangerous missions, even going to outer space, when we have a perfectly capable American military special ops, contract assassins, etc. The Fast and Furious crew literally goes from jacking 18-wheelers for DVDs to working alongside God's eye. And they don't even have to sign an NDA. The fact that Mr. Nobody looks to Dom's crew to save the world in their regular people clothes is offensive to me and my tax-paying dollars. They walk into these maximum security facilities with not so much as a pat down. Why aren't the Torettos leading their own battalions at this point, huh? Like, they're literally saving the world and nobody is recognizing them for it? Dom should at least have a desk in the Oval Office or something. Might as well. We've gotten this far, keep pushing that envelope. And let's not forget, they suddenly know how to fight like John Wick with no special training. I wish this was paid more attention to, because Dom is able to take down like 20 armed men on his own. Letty fights to the death in an all-white tank top that never gets dirty. Mia, the housemaid, suddenly knows how to defend herself against highly trained operatives. Give me a real break. Brian is the only one that should have anything remotely close to self-defense training.
Ex-cop, military, something like that. The way you took out them guys shows training.
Han should have stayed dead. And the only way to have brought him back should have been when he and Giselle made it to Tokyo. They should have had their own spin-off that would involve the Yakuza, the original Tokyo Drift cast, but other than that, it should have stopped there. I'll even go as far as saying the Tokyo Drift cast should not have been in Fast 9. It was supposed to be a funny, lighthearted update on what they've been up to, but instead, it was pretty sad to see what they have been reduced to. Sean is obviously single. Mila probably jetted for the border after she realized Gaijin and Wabaki was the most Japanese he would ever learn.
Wabaki.
He was introduced to us as this stoic and observant protagonist, and now he comes off as this airheaded and childlike person, almost like he's in denial at what his life has turned into.
Say hello to the two-cent car.
Or maybe he's finally at peace? Twinkie, he seems like he peaked in his adolescence and refused to grow up any further, like Peter Pan, someone that is comfortable in their halted progression.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Honestly, with everybody they brought back, they might as well have revived Jesse.
Take it upstairs. You can't detail a car with the cover on.
Yeah, I said it, and I'm not ashamed. They did my boy dirty, and to add, I would much rather have seen Vince continue on instead of Roman or Tej.
Make your own damn popcorn!
Shoo, Rico Santos and Tego Leo were much better at being the comedic relief and should have been brought back just for a few more jobs, especially after they went broke at the casino. It would have been funny to watch them sulk about the fortune they squandered. In Fast 9, we got an update on where they were and had a little flashback commentary on how they met Dom, but not good enough for me. Yo, way more of this crew should have been dead by now. If I'm correct, Han should be dead. Giselle should be really dead. Letty should be dead. She got blown up, but she survived, so I'll let her have that one. Technically, Roman should be dead.
How in the hell are you not dead?
He addressed the impossibility of him being alive in F9. The house should be super duper dead. How many times has 1327 been shot up and blown to pieces only for them to rebuild it with 0 upgrades? Just how many birth certificates has Mia had to reorder? I'm surprised the neighbors have not petitioned to get them evacuated from the neighborhood. Shoot, the city of LA. Everybody in every city they go to and destroy then fly out of should be dead. The people in this high-rise should be dead. Dom should definitely be dead with all the impossible stunts he's done, but truly, most importantly, I'm not trying to be dark or anything, But Dom really is the one that needs to die, just so these movies can stop being made. What do you think Fast and Furious shoulda coulda done better? Comment below. I really want to know your perspectives. I'm sure there are things that I may have missed. I couldn't leave though without giving you guys a brief review of Fast X. In a nutshell, it was bad. It was so bad that it was good. As much as people hate on this franchise, including myself, it is still the car crash we can't look away from. And that $320 million first week rake-in speaks to that. I see this movie as nothing more than just a beat up car pushing for the finish line no matter what happens to it along the way. If you think about it, it's kind of like Dom's 1970 Hero Dodge Charger. Every movie, it keeps coming back with new parts, doing new tricks, but in actuality, it's been overused and overstayed its welcome. They need to retire it and let that Charger rest in a garage far away from Dom. And the same can be said for this movie. However, it's nothing short of pure entertainment. If you put logic aside, Newton's laws of motion and gravity, common sense, you can enjoy this. The colors are vibrant, the action is lively, and there is no possible dull moment. I know this because they've masked every single scene with a soundtrack that plays in the background, like a Budweiser commercial. And even though the stunts and visuals evolve each movie, you can always depend on the same old formula when it comes to
family.
Because no matter who, what, when, where, and why, Dom can only do what he does in the name of
family.
And if you go against him and his
family,
that's okay, because one day you'll come to your senses and realize that
family
is the most important thing in this life. And who knows, if Dom is in a good mood, he may invite you to the barbecue and you'll become
family
too. And then he'll use you and your resources in the next movie. I'm thinking Vin and the team know that this whole family thing is extremely played out, so I wonder what will be the fate of Jason Momoa's character Dante. If they don't defeat Dante and he doesn't get invited into the
family,
then I'm sure little Jack, little Olivia, and little Brian will be the next to take the reins and finish that job in their first mission of their 25-year run. You guys know this isn't over after Fast X, right? They'll wait a few years, go quiet, and then Vin Diesel will get an itch. He'll start watching Mission Impossible again, some James Bond, maybe a little Ocean's 11, Bourne Ultimatum, even Die Hard.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
He'll dial one phone number and 7 people will answer. He'll pitch his ideas and they'll say yes to all of them, and that will be the birth of a Fast and Furious revival. Then we'll get to see Dom's crew in wheelchairs and walkers still performing impossible stunts while they help Jack, Olivia, and Brian save the day. And poor Paul Walker's image will never be put to rest because they never closed the door when they were supposed to. Ugh. I am so mad at what this has turned into. How am I supposed to explain this to my future children? Dante was a highlight of this movie. I feel like he was the Joker of this universe and should have been introduced a long time ago. But I know they come up with the ideas as they go, so it's not like they knew Jason Momoa would be a part of the roster. But let's call a spade a spade. Anyone in Hollywood that has muscles will most likely be initiated into the Fast family. Now, I'm hearing that they might have 2 more parts to Fast X.
And after the studio saw this part 1, they said, could you make Fast X, the finale, a trilogy?
Damn it, when we were only supposed to originally have 1 more. So the studio keeps undermining our intelligence, y'all, with this trash that they've been feeding us. So if they're gonna do that, at least can we get back to our roots, like we, you know, remember where we came from? In the last one, I literally just want basic, simple car racing, DVD stealing action.
Oh, shit. Here they come. So.
I want Dom to face old demons that he left back in LA. Like, have him revisit his beef with the Tran family or something. This would be a good opportunity for a Need for Speed crossover. That movie had crazy potential. Do something with that. Have the Torettos reopen their shop where they make bad tuna sandwiches and put Roman to work so he can stop yapping all the time, threatening not to do missions even though he's definitely gonna do them. Let Tej go back to betting and then he can actually bring Suki back for a mini reunion. Hey, we'll toss Leon in there. Bring him back too. He didn't contribute anything, but hey, he's an original. He deserves to say grace this time.
Yeah, he's right, Dom.
Oh, and my boy Jin too. Like, he was lit. Where has he been?
I'm a low-budget mechanic, but I overcharge. Pay me. Let's go, man.
Look, the possibilities are not endless, but they are numerous, and there are ways to end this movie on a positive note. But something tells me they're gonna bomb this last movie because Dom is who Vin Diesel thinks he is. And if someone doesn't stop him now, this is where we're gonna end up.
Now, the one man who made a difference 5 times before is about to make a difference again. Only this time, it's different.
Who left the fridge open? Here we go again. Again.